when it's coming from Kumerica, you know what to expect. Anyway, I'm loving your shade of blue this morning.
Yeah, me too. I mean, like, what, do you live next door?
You know, it's getting weird. I was telling Mama B that it was getting weird because last week we did, both of us, wooden shirts.
Yeah.
Similar pattern.
Yeah.
Black pants, brown, whatever footwear. Today it is going blue.
And it's not like we're texting to say
no.
Wear the shade or don't wear the shade.
This one must be some telepathy is going on.
Maybe we should be texting then.
Maybe we just should. But before we get into the papers, I just wanted to highlight this bit. I'm sure you followed the story about that teacher of the Youngsters International School who got knocked down by a vehicle. Okay, so it happened recently, and it's very unfortunate. You see, I'm highlighting this because while we've spoken about the fact that the police must be more active and doing more, sometimes people are just full of so much. This incident happened just a few days ago, and the school is basically bereaved. The family of the lady as well, 26 years old. She wasn't even 27. Got knocked down by a private vehicle, and the person picks her, puts her into the vehicle under the guise of taking her to hospital. Guess what? She gets dumped somewhere in Abuko.
Is this the same Adenta?
Yes.
Oh, so she was a teacher at the
Yes.
Youngsters. Okay, I didn't make that link. Yes, but I'm familiar with the story.
And it's so sad. I don't want to mention the person's name because then we try to single out nationality and all of that. It's not important. Crime is crime, regardless of where you're from.
But they made some arrests, didn't they?
Yes, they have. They got the vehicle. You see the dent on the vehicle and all of that, and you would wonder how just that little dent was able to. But of course, the impacts when she hit. But I feel it's really sad because per what the gentleman is supposed to have said from private sources, he's supposed to have said that he was in the vehicle with someone else, and as they were going, they realized the lady had stopped breathing. And his friend, who is now an accomplice in the crime, who is now being sought, told him, oh, then let's not take her to
So let's just dump the body?
Hospital, because if you do, especially as you are not Ghanaian, you will get it. And so they dumped her. And so whether there was any possibility of life or whatever, they just snuffed.
But that's human life.
Her life.
Accidents do occur, and when it occurs, you have to take the responsibility. You knock somebody down, and you're carrying her to the hospital, and just because you think you feel, or perhaps that she's no longer breathing, doesn't mean that you dump her.
Even if the person is not.
Off. Like, who does that?
Yeah, and that's supposedly what happened.
So that's the explanation?
Well, that is part of what I hear he has said, shifting the blame. And this is a 42-year-old man. I mean, does someone tell you what to do in such an instance when you know that doing that is criminal?
Oh, but apart from that, that is not human. That is not human. Not too long ago, I was sharing, the Motor Traffic Act. There's a section, I think 24, which says that, so if the two of us were driving in that instance, we both had a responsibility to report the incident. Yeah. And failure to do so, that's against the law. Yeah. So you'll be punished accordingly. And there are people who...
And there are some hefty penalties attached to that. Fines and even jail time.
Exactly. There are people who are serving jail term because they couldn't pay the fine. Yeah. And so now they are in prison for it. But apart from that, I think there are certain things that are just humane. Yeah. You should not do it because nobody is seeing you. I mean, like, gee, this is a human being. I mean, human life. Move on? How do you move on from a thing like that? You get what I mean?
Human life. Like, how can you sleep at night?
There's certain things that you can't do.
So I just wanted to highlight this because, look, the police, we expect them to be, but some things are even out of the domain of the police. Oh, yeah. It's up to you as a human being to be human. In this instance, people are trusting that, what they call bono. You are trying to make reparation. At least, let's see what happens. If you hit someone, I mean, there are different categories, manslaughter to murder. Right now, you've moved right into, a very complicated situation.
I mean, I was following that story, very tragic, and I think later on I saw that there were people not too far from me who are even connected to the lady, as I saw the posts and the messages on Facebook. Really, really unfortunate.
And
accidents do occur, but when it does, you must report yourself. First, you have a responsibility. You're taking her to the hospital. Again, it comes back to the fact that we don't have proper systems. But granted, this is what we have. So we will do with what we have. You take the person to the hospital, and then you report the incident to the police station. It happened to a very good friend of mine many years ago back in Takoradi. May her soul rest in peace. She was just 7 years old, and she died on the spot. But he didn't even know. So he just carried her, and according to the hospital, she died on the spot.
But he didn't know.
He carried, and he was weeping. I mean, he was just crying all the way, and even when he got to the hospital. And after that, he went to the police station. He went to the central police station, and he was put behind bars. Police explained that, listen, we're investigating, but for your own safety, you need to be there, because family members will come, and they may not understand why you're not there. So just for your own safety. And they went through the processes. I mean, it's a process.
And people think once you do this, you're going to jail. No, they will investigate. It happened to a friend of mine about 2 years ago. Lady, she was distraught. First time any accident. The Tema motorway stretch, how some people cross. Elderly lady, and she crossed at the wrong time. My friend hit her. I mean, she was so afraid and all of that. But in the end, it was realized that she was not culpable. It wasn't her fault. The place, even the very point the woman crossed at, was not right. It's not to say it was okay to snuff out a human life, but you need to go through the process. This lady, I'm told, is one of the best teachers at the school. The students love her. I mean, she's so affable and all of that, and her life taken. And the final point I'll make, apparently someone, when after the accident, the car stopped and they were trying to bundle her into the vehicle. Someone took a shot of the car's number plate.
Oh, thank God.
If that person hadn't taken the shot, these people would have got away with murder, so to speak.
So that's what helped.
That is what the police relied on, apparently, to
so we have
nail
to
these. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what it is.
You see something, maybe this time not just say something, snap a picture.
What I sometimes do, when you're sending a friend off or a relative, and they're going into a commercial vehicle.
Oh yeah.
You want to take a shot just so. Whatever vehicle that they're traveling in. I guess we have to do that a lot more.
Know the name of the person, send the vehicle number and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's unfortunate that we're starting on this very sad note, but it's a Monday. So there are some things that you need to know ahead of the week, and it's absolutely appropriate that we're having this conversation. Well, hello there. If you're just joining us, this is the review segment of our show. We're now going to go into the papers proper. I've got the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, Republic Press, The Finder, and if we have plenty more time, we have some other newspapers we'll go through, Ben.
For me, I have the Daily Graphic, the Daily Dispatch, the New Independent, and then the two business papers, Economy Times and BNFT. Would you like to start with the Ghanaian Times?
Yes, sir. So on the front page of the Ghanaian Times newspaper, let's fight terrorism, piracy together. President appeals to ECOWAS leaders. Accra police arrest 215 suspected criminals, impound 168 motorcycles in 4-day operation. Also, government commits to procuring Sputnik V vaccines at $10.35 through official sources only, according to the health minister. And I think the minority leader is saying something about Parliament probing further this issue of procurement. I think that's also in the paper. Yes, I'm right. It's on page 11. Minority to push for probe into Sputnik V vaccine procurement, according to Haruna Idrisu. But back on the front page, GIPC targets $3 billion FDI this year, according to its Chief Executive Yofi Grant. If you go to page 3, display of guns in viral video, police arrest 3 suspects. Now, this issue, I don't even know what to think. But at this point, if I had the opportunity, I would just play Medical's Yeah. So they should deal with it. I mean, who does that? Okay. Intercity STC driver, co-driver die in accident. Another very sad one. When I saw the story and the fact that there was STC, I wanted to be sure what had happened. Apparently, there was a vehicle, abandoned vehicle. He had a mechanical fault, whatever it is, and he left it there like that, around 12.
No warning triangle.
Nothing.
Nothing. No space.
Nothing. And I think according to the regulation, you should report the incident to the nearest police station in an instance like that. Nothing. So this bus, STC bus, with a co-driver and also police escort around 2:30 a.m.
That's what they
just ran into it, and the driver, co-driver died instantly. Ooh. The police escort is injured, seriously injured.
And you know why? Because usually, sometimes they sit right behind, the drivers. So
it's this issue. We know our issues. We know our issues. Yeah. How often don't we see this? Like an abandoned vehicle. Somebody just abandons a vehicle. Either they are repairing it in the road, or they leave it there and somebody runs.
And it happens so often. Big buses, these trucks, and all of that, heavy duty. And if you ram into them, you know that your chances of survival are very low.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. And especially when it's at night with poor visibility, your likelihood of, dying is so high.
And then the final one on page 3, crime-related. Well, we're not sure about this one. A policeman was found dead in his room. Just found dead in his room, and it was his wife, also a police officer, who actually found him dead. His name is Chief Inspector Emmanuel Kofi Nunakbaku. He was found dead lying in prone position on his bed. And according to the police who visited the scene, they said they inspected the body, but with no marks of assault detected to suggest any foul play, adding that the body was conveyed to the police hospital morgue. So they're still investigating the circumstances surrounding this incident. That's all on page 3 in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Just stories in detail, what we found on the front page in the center spread, except this one: President, Vice President to tour Northeast region Tuesday and Wednesday. And if you go to the back page on the MTN FA Cup, Kotoko urge Thunderbolt FC. We have Thunderbolt FC. Hey. And then Hearts trash Windy Pros.
So it's a Division 2 side.
Yeah, these are lower.
Yeah.
That's why this one.
And that's why Hearts also played, I think,
Windy Pros.
Windy Professionals. Yes.
Yeah. So we're waiting for Thursday. Thursday is the real deal.
Oh, you're waiting for your Waterloo.
I think you're
waiting for your Waterloo.
We're playing Legon Cities, I think. Yeah. Young Wise also upsets Wafa. That's a Division 1 league side. Young Wise. They caused a major upset on Saturday when they ousted Ghana Premier League giants Wafa from the MTN FA Cup. The penalty shootout. So that's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Let me take a look at the Daily Graphic this morning, and it says, inject action against terrorism. President charges ECOWAS. Over the weekend, that ECOWAS confab continuing. It had started all the way from the commencement of the week with that meeting of defense, foreign affairs and security ministers. And President charges ECOWAS and re-elected chairman. Just to give you succinct bits of what the story captures, it says, the time is up for West African nations to inject more vigor in their concerted effort to deal with the growing threats of terrorism and piracy in the region. And our president, who made the call, intimated that none of the countries was insulated against the threats of terrorism. He also says it's a matter of dignity and sovereignty which affects all nations in the region. The president also cited the gruesome killing of 132 civilians, including children, in Burkina Faso on June 5, which had necessitated his visit to that country. And on the bit of piracy, while calling for urgent attention to the growing threat to maritime security in the region. President Akufo-Addo indicated that acts of piracy and maritime destabilization were on the rise in the Gulf of Guinea. He finally commended all ECOWAS and AU member states for supporting Ghana's successful candidature for a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council for the years 2022 to 2023. Let's see what benefits, what gains we can reap out of that. I think we pipped Gabon in that particular contest. There were others, but I think Gabon was the closest to us in terms of votes. I think it was 185, 183, something like that. Encourage support for vaccine production. That's also on page 3. Akufo-Addo tells ECOWAS heads. And let's check out some international news. It's a crucial day for Ethiopians as they go to the polls, and there are growing concerns over fairness. And Ethiopia will be electing its new leaders. In all, 37 million people are expected registrants out of a total population of 110 million will be casting their votes in today's crucial elections. And twice delayed elections overshadowed by warnings of famine and mounting reports of atrocities in the war-hit northern region of Tigray. Reports indicate that some of the voters may have to wait until September to cast their votes due to logistical, legal, and security-related challenges in Africa's second most populous country. So I guess they come right behind Nigeria. In more international related news, and then I'll come back to Ghana, Israeli PM cautions world powers over Iran. I'm talking about the newest one, Prime Minister Naftali Bennett. And then in Brazil, COVID-19 deaths hit 500,000. The number of deaths related to COVID-19 has passed 500,000 in Brazil, the second highest in the world, as experts say the outbreak could worsen amid slow vaccination and the start of winter. And you know, one of the countries most affected, I believe it's Chile. And as for them, it's just something else. No access to vaccines, hospital facilities, logistics, not in existence, not able to cater for the people. And it's just a messy situation. Maybe that's why we decided to get vaccines at $19. You never know. Let's do the middle spread of the paper. But I just saw something on fatherhood changing for better. Mama, I know you have fathers and father figures in your life. What was the day like for you this past Sunday? What were you up to?
It was quiet. Nothing really.
Nothing much.
Just one of my boys, he draws a lot. So, you know, on occasions, whatever he feels like telling you, he'll put it in the form of art. Right. And that's what he did for his dad. Basically, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting bit.
I mean, I think, okay, have we blown it out of proportion? Because...
Blown what out of proportion? Father's Day, Mother's Day? Or...
Yeah, that kind of thing. Because it is your mother you are celebrating, isn't it? I mean, your children would celebrate their mother. Are we making it by force, like...
that fathers ought to be celebrated?
No. So that... Is your dad that you're celebrating? Is my dad that I'm celebrating, or a father figure, right? It's not my husband that I'm celebrating. My children are celebrating their father.
Right.
Okay,
so I get what you mean. But when I put it out there, I was talking about father figures. I know you have a lot of church father figures.
No.
You have friend father figures.
I didn't do anything. You know, I just, Charlie, I was just chilling.
It was one of those easy ones for you. Anyway, so let's do the back page, some sporting news, and it's a wrap. MTN FA Cup Hearts run riot against Windy Professionals, and of course, Kotoko thump Thunderbolt FC 3-1. And that was in the round of 32 match. So that's it for the sporting end of the Daily Graphic.
Let's do Republic Press on the front page of the paper. Police go wild, grab 215 suspects in post-bullion van robbery attack swoop. But here's one that's of interest. I haven't rejected questions on cost of Akufo-Addo's travels. Speaker clarifies. Minority accuses finance minister of dodging costs on president's trips. Don't just add up to the numbers. Mametiwa tells female police recruit. Okay, it's just that they've just... put the two headlines together. It's very confusing when you read it like that. Your Embra scandal is still fresh on our minds. Kayaye, President tells Mahama. Okay, that's a very confused headline as well. But let me, maybe a bit of what I thought.
You might have to check out some of the details to find out what exactly
got my
it's saying.
attention. I think it was the Speaker's clarification, so let me stick with that. The Speaker of Parliament has defended himself in the wake of reports that questions surrounding the airworthiness of the presidential jets were shelved by the House. Agwon Babin said the question posed to the Finance Minister over the President will definitely be answered. Okay, so just a background to that. And then it also talks about the Defense Minister who appeared before Parliament, and then goes on to talk about Thursday when Finance Minister was scheduled to take his turn to answer questions on the same subject. However, reports emerged that the questions posed to the Minister had been taken off Parliament's order paper for the day. Reacting to this, the Speaker of Parliament said there is no truth in such reports, insisting the questions will be answered. Quote, let me disagree with what has been put on social media that the Honourable Speaker rejected the questions on quote. And this, he said on the floor of Parliament. There's no iota of truth in that publication. The questions were admitted and forwarded to the ministers, and the ministers have indicated to me their readiness to come and answer the questions, so it will be no problem. The business committee should do the right thing and get them programmed for the minister to come and answer. All right. So that's still an outstanding question, and then we've been assured that it will be answered.
Well, let me, before I take a look at the Dispatch newspaper, I had to do this because of the many issues happening, but also because the other day we were talking about not seeing the gender minister, Adjoa Safo, enough visibility. Well, she's decrying the rising sexual offenses against girls, and there's been a lot of talk. She has a lot to say about that on page 8 of the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper. There's also work on COVID-19 vaccine production, Akufo-Addo to African leaders. And I think I followed Newsfile over the weekend, and I did actually. And there was a bit of talk about the fact that when all of this started, we went into mask production as well and some of those other bits. But how come we weren't able to foresee that we might also be looking at improving our logistics when it comes to producing vaccines? Some on the other side said, well, it's much easier to produce masks and sanitizers and the rest, so you can rope in the Kasaprekus and the rest to do that. But when it comes to vaccine production, it's very technical, requires so much more. But I think we've got to the point where Africa has always lagged behind in this whole bit about vaccine production and the science of it generally. I believe it's a good call, but let's walk the talk and not just talk. That's my only concern there.
You know, you're my English professor, and decry, what does it mean?
Bemoan, lament.
Isn't that what we all do? But when you are in a place like that with responsibility and you have a duty to, to do something, do you also decry?
When was it? I think it was sometime last week. I don't know whether it was the two of us sitting together.
Yeah.
Some person in authority was like lamenting, and we were like, but aren't you there to resolve the situation? Anyway.
We're all decrying. The gender minister is also decrying.
The leaders are decrying. We're all decrying. So now who will solve it? All
right, let's do the Finder newspaper. On the front page of the Finder, Bank of Ghana directs banks and SDIs to abolish unfair charges and charges. This is one that got a lot of people excited. People were talking about the individual banks and the kind of charges, absurd charges sometimes. But now that I guess the directive is out, we have the power to object.
I got the power. But I tried here.
We hope that they now will take the action before we begin questioning them on those things. We need a paradigm shift to address security challenges, according to COP Tiwa Adodanka. Okay, so what was in the Republic Press also linked to Madam Tiwa was her telling female police recruit to not just add up to the numbers, but actually, do something substantial. Don't just be counted, like you're a female police officer, but be outstanding in your work. I think it's another angle that the Finder newspaper has also picked. 16.9 million COVID-19 vaccines secured at $10, 14.2 million doses to be delivered in 2022. President Akufo-Addo calls for urgent steps to secure security of ECOWAS as well. That's the front page of the final newspaper.
There are two interesting stories I'll do from the New Independent newspaper. Interestingly, it says fuel prices go up, page 8, but the story is actually on page 2 of the newspaper.
Somebody said it was a Father's Day gift.
Are you sure?
To all the men.
Prices at the pumps have gone up again a month after astronomical increases, which led to public uproar. The uproar in May forced the National Petroleum Authority to reduce the prices. But petrol and diesel prices went up on Saturday, June 19. The New Independent has learned they increased from 6 cedis 50 pesos per litre to 6 cedis, that's 6.05 cedis per litre to 6.23 per litre across major oil marketing companies. You know, at this point in time, I've stopped focusing too much on these matters, because the way things are going, when I go to the pump nowadays, I just realize that what it used to take me to fill my tank is woefully inadequate, and I have to keep topping up each time I go. So to be honest, I use fuel injection as well, you know, to try to ensure.
Oh, does it work?
It does.
Okay, some dude has tried to sell it to me twice, but me, I'm a traditional person, so something that I don't know about. Like, I don't even tolerate you telling me about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it does
work?
It does help. It depends on the brand, though. I don't want to put any brand out there because we're not marketing them. But
so it works.
After that, yeah, Charlie. Hey,
okay.
na enka. Yesika no.
When I stop, I check if I have my purse, but I think most importantly, I check if I have my card with me.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because that's what will save when the cash is not enough, because you just can't tell how much money you need.
Oh, yeah. I think nowadays, a lot of the time, I pay for these things via POS so that you're on the safer side, because, Charlie, you won't carry cash. Go ahead. No. But this final one I want to do, it's on page 6. Shoot and kill armed robbers. That's a chief putting this out there. The chief of Mahoje at Agona Swedro and Jase Hene of the Agona Nyakron traditional area, Nana Kwame Donko the second, has advocated for the enactment of strong laws to deal with the recent rise in armed robbery in the country. He called for the execution of every armed bandit arrested for perpetrating acts such as robbery in the country in order to serve as a deterrent to others. I had to highlight this because, of course, we can't take the law into our own hands, and mobbing people, lynching them, is simply not the right way to go. On Saturday, though, I heard someone, talk about this. One of those on Newsfile with Samson Ladi Anyanini speak about the fact that maybe we are getting into a very gray zone when it comes to security. Because if you notice, for example, in Jamestown, where that sad incident happened, and in some of the areas, these are areas where when they grab you engaged in theft, robbery, they deal with you. Sometimes it's instant justice, but people are still going there, brazen, unafraid robbery, and the picture that tells. But of course, nothing justifies taking the law into your own hands.
I guess that's why he's calling for the change in the law. But there was very brilliant submissions from Kwesi Enin and Emmanuel Bombande on the matter of security, moving the conversation forward from an angle that I think many of us probably haven't heard in the way that it was delivered. We'll probably have to revisit some of the things that they said and bring it back. But I hope that most importantly, the police service was listening, even though Sheila was on the show. Because when you have brilliant people talking about some of the ways.
There's always something to learn.
But you don't have the right people listening and taking action and learning from there. Then, we're still stuck. We're not going anywhere.
But one of the things that got me, from Kweku Bako to Sheila Bachman, and then the responses from Bombande and Ening about whether we have a national security situation on our hands or even a security situation on our hands or not. The other day when I hosted Collins Amankwa, it was like, no, it's not and then others say, what do you mean? We're in this and you're saying it is not? And there was even talk about the Infantiman MP whose husband died and she got to replace him, and how she had sort of vacillated from back then what was happening, and now to say that, no, this is not especially when her own husband, sadly, fell to just such a situation. So I don't know whether we are playing the right keys on this one, black or white, but we are day inside.
So I guess we haven't painted the picture. We don't know where we are. If you don't know where you are, how do you move from there and go elsewhere? Yeah. We all need to agree that this is where we've come to and this is the situation. I don't know how.
If you don't identify a problem, how can you even solve it?
Okay, I'm not sure we have plenty of time left, but we can, ask you to go to myjoyonline.com. We have plenty of news there. I just quickly, the Daily Guide newspaper, my last newspaper, I wanted to touch on opening cries to CJ runs to Supreme Court over judge, and essentially Dr. Opuning has written, his petition the Supreme Court. He wants to get the judge trying him, the judge sitting on his case, to recuse himself. He hasn't been successful in doing that. So this time he's filed a motion before the Supreme Court to exercise its supervisory power and prohibit Justice Honyanuga from further hearing the case. We will update you when a decision is taken on this.
I always like the swag with which you pronounce Opuni's name.
Oh, how did I pronounce his name?
Hey! It's a Sikagari kind of morning. Let's quickly do some My Joy Online if we have the time to do that. If not, then we'll just, like you said, refer you to myjoyonline.com. You can check out all the stories there. Mama V, would you like to do us the honors?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so here it is. Until we empower Ghanaians legally. Which law is he talking about? I'm not sure. I can appreciate that.
The law will serve the privileged, basically. Until we empower Ghanaians legally, the law will serve
the privileged. Okay, that's according to Professor Tim. Of course, it's only those who know it who can take advantage of it. There are plenty other stories. Please go to myjoyonline.com and, enjoy what we have there. We have to make way for sports. I guess the Euros, now it's getting to the crucial stage.
Group F is living up to its, billing as the group of death.
Yep.
And now it's just changed everything, and Portugal is in a very precarious situation. Now, going toe-to-toe with France, they need to get a result.
Yeah.
A draw at worst, a win at most. A loss would be terrible for them, especially now that the mineshaft ran, roughshod over them in the last tie. And Hungary too. Pretty.
Oh, that was a headline.
Pretty crazy. You don't know what to you don't know what to expect of them.
What was the headline? Hungry frustrate France. Like a hungry, a common dinner.
Hungry frustrate France.
Yeah.
So that's stalemate. I mean, that was not in the books. But anyway.
Yeah, we'll bring a playback of what you missed over the weekend, the local league. The MTN FA Cup, and then, of course, the Euros. And
we'll also be talking about Isaac Dogbe, who won on a majority decision.
Did he? Oh, okay, because the last thing I heard was that it was a draw. So I'm interested in catching up.
We'll catch up on that with Muftau.
Yeah.